I was talking to John Mark actually out in the venue.
Another Canadian doing really good.
Another great player from Canada. I believe I want to say top 8 in 2022 Vancouver. So likes to perform well for the home country. And he was saying, you know, I don't know how confident I'm feeling going into this weekend. I was like, no, you got this. Don't worry. And he's like, well, last time when I got top 8, I wasn't confident at all. I thought I was going to lose, and I got top 8 at Vancouver. So I was like, all right, well, go into tomorrow and just think you're going to lose. And then it's going to work out because last time it worked.
Just do a Justin Tang where you tweet that you're going to go 0-3 and you win the regional. But no, we'll get into that. We got to talk about the players that we have here because, as I said, 2 Canadians, and we have some fun teams here.
Yeah, for sure. We have Ryan Loseto getting 2nd place last season at the Vancouver Regional Championships, and a fellow Canadian in Tuong, Huynh, with a very funky team on the other side. Annihilate is not Pokemon we haven't seen too much of in the last couple of regulations, as well as that Sinistra, that grass ghost version essentially of Amoonguss with Rage Powder and you know, different ways of redirecting attacks. A really strong supportive Pokemon. Has fallen by the wayside in the Regulation F format, but we'll talk about his team when we see it. For now, Ryan has some fun Pokemon.
Yeah, specifically, I'm interested in looking at the King Gambit because the King Gambit, I mean, it's on and off. We were talking about Pokemon that have been used since the beginning of things. This is one. This one's going to be the Assault Vest version, not going to be the black glasses, so no access to Protect. But I do like the move choices that we're seeing here. Having the low kick, being able to have that fighting type move, fantastic coverage. Because King Gambit, I think one of the trickiest things about it, beyond not having that Protect for an Assault Vest set, is all of a sudden finding yourself in a position where these Dark type and these Steel type moves don't necessarily do too much. And Gouging Fire as well, great Pokemon to be setting up the other super strong physical attackers on your team.
Yeah, actually, Ryan has a couple of options to deal with the Archaladon on Tuong's end, which can be really problematic for teams that are not prepared for it. But luckily, he has 2 fighting type attacks and a ground attack. But you look at the rest of the team, of course, if you're running Archaladon, you have to have Tornadus with access to a Prankster Rain Dance on the team to set up the rain and let Archaladon use the Electro Shot in 1 turn.
And a fun Pokemon to be seen here is the Grimmsnarl, because Grimmsnarl being able to set the screens, you've seen Alola Ninetales do it with Aurora Veil. Grimmsnarl, you have to take it 1 by 1. But being able to have that Pokemon set the screens that can kind of be sticking around is super, super nice here. But you do have to be worried that Parting Shot that could be doing so well, there is Pokemon on the other end that won't necessarily care, especially like King Gambit. So you have to mitigate the damage the other way.
So yeah, the Pelipper is the one setting up the Rain Dance, and Tornadus actually takes advantage of it with that Weather Ball, which turns into a water attack when the rain is up. So this is actually a really interesting team here, because that's going to be pretty strong into some of Ryan's Pokemon like Landorus and Gouging Fire, but you do have Ogerpon Wellspring that is fully immune to it, so it should be interesting.
Tuong right away leading that Grimmsnarl and the Pelipper. You're going to be having the rain and an opportunity to be slowing down the damage over on Ryan's end of the board here, whereas Ryan, this is definitely a very physical attack-heavy start. You have that Rillaboom that can give you a little bit of fake-out pressure, and the Chien-Pao.
And the Grimmsnarl is a Pokemon that people were anticipating to have strong performances in Scarlet and Violet, but has not lived up to the expectations Sword and Shield Grimmsnarl has set up. But Grimmsnarl has access to Prankster Parting Shot, which is a way to guarantee before Ryan's Pokemon get to attack, their attack and special attack would be lowered by 1 stage. So Grimmsnarl instead just manually switching out instead of going for a potential Parting Shot, since there is the threat of a fake out on the other side.
Yeah, sometimes you get to see the Grimmsnarls with the fake out, but this one doesn't have it, and there's not going to be one coming out on Ryan's end either. That's a lot of damage into the Pelipper, but the double up not possible with the Icicle Crash miss. Now an opportunity to respond. Weather Ball in the rain. That'll bring Chien-Pao all the way down into its Focus Sash.
90% strikes again. That's why so many people have stopped running Icicle Crash, because it is not consistent, and that 10% scenario has really hurt Ryan now, because you would have knocked out Pelipper for the rest of the game. You could argue you'd rather have Pelipper sitting here low than maybe something else on the back end on Tuong's side, like another sweeper that could take advantage of the rain. But Archaladon is on the field, has that Assault Vest, is able to try to start boosting its special attack with these Electro Shots. Any type of attack will knock out Chien-Pao, and obviously the Rillaboom does resist the Electro Shot, at least so you know the Rillaboom is safe at this point. but if Pelipper can just get one attack off and go for a Hurricane into that slot, it would be doing so much damage, but instead he'll switch it out.
Considering that it could be picked off by a priority move from the Rillaboom over on the other side, I do not hate this whatsoever. Be swapping into the Sinisha, that's going to be taking that Grassy Glide oh so well. Icicle Crash, though, not targeted into the freshly swapped in Pokemon, will be hitting into the Archaludon instead. That'll be defense raised by 1 this time around as Electro Shot is going to be fired off in response.
Yeah, there was the chance of a flinch as well on Icicle Crash, but fortunately for Tuong, he's able to break through there and get this 2-turn attack going. At once, Chien-Pao is down. Not only is that hard for Ryan because Chien-Pao is a strong Pokemon, but you lose the Sword of Ruin that was making those Grassy Glides do so much more damage. Now it's just neutral damage back on the field. Sinisha is resistant to Grassy Glide and also can Rage Powder or redirect attacks away from Ryan's other Pokemon, which looks like Landorus Incarnate is going to be locked in. I think as we see this series, Sierra, a lot of the battles are going to be won and lost between Archaludon and Landorus Incarnate. If Sinisha is here to redirect those really strong Earth, Life Orb, Sheer Force, Earth powers away from Archaludon, then the Archaludon can try to sweep. Where it's not even safe to Terrasilize since Archaludon's Terra is Fairy, which would still be weak to the Sludge Bomb.
That's where you have to make the pick too. Are we going to be seeing the Rage Powder? Are you going to see something else coming out from the Sinisha on the other end? And Landorus, a good opportunity to scout out and make sure you're not taking damage with a Protect on this turn. No Rage Powder. It's just going to be a U-turn that will hit into the Sinisha at this point. An opportunity for Ryan to bring in his 4th final Pokemon here, that Wellspring Ogerpon.
And the Ogerpon is a Pokemon that does do okay into Archaludon since you have access to a strong special defense, but Electro Shot would be a super effective hit if you are going to Terrasilize.
No Rage Powder, so Sinisha, opportunity for the Life Dew instead. Be bringing it and its partner Archaludon's health up. And this is going to be so big. The Archaludon especially too, with that defense boost on the other end. I mean, it's definitely threatened by the special attacking Landorus, but the Ogerpon, which will ignore the Rage Powder, still is going to have to get through those defense boosts.
Ogerpon and the Sinisha are kind of mirroring each other right now as both redirection grass Pokemon, but instead Tuong trying to get this Grimmsnarl on the field. Grimmsnarl's not going to take a Sludge Bomb as well as Sinisha would have, or this rain boosted Ivy Cudgel.
That will be a lot of damage, and double up here will be enough to get rid of that Grimmsnarl. No opportunity for screens to lower the damage going into the Archaludon, but now a chance to respond. Electro Shot once again coming on out, absorbing that electricity. That's going to be another special attack boost, and that is going to be an instant hit into the non-terrasilized Ogerpon. Still going to be able to hold on, though.
That's why it's so crucial for Ogerpon not to terrasilize in this point. You're going to get brought down so low either way that you don't want to terrasilize a low health Pokemon in that spot. Now Tuong is down to this Pelipper that he's brought back in on this turn as Rain is close to running out. So you wonder if this is somewhat of a bait from Tuong to say, hey Ryan, here's my low health Rain setter on the field, try to target this, and it could act as a pseudo redirection the way that the your Sinistra would have redirected attacks away. This Archaludon is Assault Vest, and there's no way to protect itself from an Earth Power on the Landorus' side. And if you can get rid of the low health Ogerpon for Tuong, then you start feeling more confident in the combination of Sinistra and potentially saving the Archaludon.
It will be Terrasilization coming out from the Landorus on Ryan's end here. That poison type that we get to see oh so much. Not the only Terrasilization in sight though. Tuong as well is going to take this chance. That will be the Archaludon. Also that will be into the Fairy type.
Yeah, this is the kind of the situation you were worried about. Changing your typing into Fairy will help you in some matchups, but you're also now weak to the Sludge Bomb on the other side.
At this point, though, that will be a second stamina boost coming out. Make sure that over on that end of things, you'll be good. But Earth Power, of course, hitting into that to try and take advantage of that weakness out of there. And now Pelipper being left alone. That is now a Tailwind. Tuong's end and Dragon Ball into the Landorus. That was 2 special attack boosts, so no wonder it's a one-hit KO.
That Landorus is down. Terrestrialization is over for Ryan here in game 1, and Tuong played that turn perfectly. Pelipper might want to switch itself out to reset up the rain if he wants to, but that was a +2 Dragon Pulse into the lander, so did so much damage. Pelipper was a sitting duck, for lack of a better word, on the field at low health, and Ryan did not target it by either slot, letting Tailwind get set up at this point, but you do have to worry about Grassy Glide, doesn't care about Tailwind.
I don't think that's a duck, I think that's a pelican.
It's a long story, Sierra.
No, but being able to get some speed over in Tuong's end, definitely good, but of course you do have that option of priority with that Grassy Glide over onto the opposing end. Could have picked off a low Pelipper at this point, though that the Grassy Glide does not, like, the Archaludon does not care about it at this point. Now Hospitality coming in, that is going to be, again, health for these Pokemon. That'll be a fake out instead,
That's
though.
+3 defense if you ever want to go for the Grassy Glide. That was a really smart play to have the Hospitality heal it up. Is this Ivy Cudgel? No rain, no crit.
And that's going to be a 4th stamina boost. This Pokemon, the longer it sticks around, the more and more terrifying it gets at this point. It has those special attack boosts. It's just getting more and more health back, and there is the opportunity as well to be swapping in, try and go for some rain. No swap though, it'll be a protect on the Ogerpon over on Ryan's end of the field. An attempt to try and get rid of it on Ong's end, an attempt at that Dragon Pulse. We'll be hitting into the protect, the Matcha Gotcha.
You can try to get the burn. It's not going to do a lot of damage to Rillaboom, obviously, as a resisted attack. But if you can get the burn, and he gets the burn! So Rillaboom is burned. Archaludon has 4 boosts to its defense. This Woodhammer is not doing anything.
I don't think it was going to do too much the first time around anyways, but that is definitely adding a little bit of insult to injury at this point, considering you need to be trying to deal as much damage, and just you needed every ounce of that to try and whittle more and more away at that Archaludon. So that burn definitely going to be hurting in this case. All you can do is just try double into it again, try and hit into it again, and attempt at that spiky shield to try and keep a piece of your team alive.
So we're getting confirmation that Tuong also goes by Tommy as another name that his friends like to call him. So we'll go back and forth with it. Tommy has found himself in a really good spot with this setup. +4 defense body press is just going to destroy Rillaboom.
Yeah, I think it might have been +5. There's too many. It has all of them. And that Matcha Gotcha on the other end is going to be enough single target to take care of that Ogerpon. So Tommy to take game 1 here in round 4. Fantastic setup. And just that Archaludon was just allowed to do the most. And Ryan just ran out of ways to deal with it.
Right, and Tommy actually got top 8 in the last global challenge that we had here last month. So is a trainer that should not be slept on, is performing very well right now in Scarlet and Violet. And what I loved, how that match ended up in the end, you had Archaludon next to Sinistcha. That's the whole point of the team. It's either Grimmsnarl or Sinistcha. Put even Pelipper, really, a supportive Pokemon next to Archaludon, get a couple Electro shots, and let it sleep. This Rillaboom did so much damage, but that Icicle Crash missing was so huge, because if Pelipper was down, there would have been no Tailwind.
We could have been in a game 2 situation right now with Ryan as the victor had that been a connection. But unfortunately, that's what it is. The Icicle Crash versus the Ice Spinner. You're gaining some base power, you're getting a little bit more damage, but it's going to be at that cost. And Ryan fully feeling the cost in that first match there. You have to go looking at that second game where you want to be kind of changing things up, because there is also just the potential, hey, the odds are in your favor, you'll hit it the second time, right?
And right, so definitely you can just try to win that, or maybe you get a flinch on the first Electro shot instead. But Ryan's in a really tough spot with that Landorus, that Terrasilize, because if you want to Terrasilize into a poison type so you're no longer weak to the Weather Balls from the Pelipper or Tornadus, then you are now no longer immune to Electro Shot. And if Archaludon can set up multiple Electro Shots, or even go for the safe +2 Dragon Pulse into the Landers, it's going to be really tough for Ryan to win. So I think one of the things that Ryan can look forward to in this matchup is if you don't allow those supportive Pokemon to feel comfortable on the side next to Archaludon. We don't see it in the lead at this point, but at some point you know it's going to be coming back.
Tommy, it's going to be the Tornadus and the Pelipper to start things out. Get the rain set up and a Pokemon that can be taking advantage of it. Of course, we talked so much about the Weather Ball, but never actually really talked about the fact that you can be firing off fully accurate Bleak Wind Storms at this point, which can also be so good. So now you can set up a Tailwind, you can attack. There's so much you got to do. And over with that Landorus and Rillaboom on the other end, sure, with that Rillaboom you can fake out one thing, but still something might take a lot of damage here.
And this is a real head-scratcher turn for Ryan on what you do, because both of Tommy's Pokemon have access to Tailwind. They both have access to the Weather Ball to hit you super effectively. So if you fake out the wrong target or go for the wrong attack, it could be disastrous.
Ryan with the head shake there, no fake out, but the Grassy Glide, you got to see how much damage that did in the first game. And the double up, an attempt to get rid of the Pelipper on the first turn on a Rye. Such a good protect coming out from Tommy, and the double Bleak Wind Storm, of course, it will be connecting on both. So much damage onto the Rillaboom.
No speed drops, luckily for Ryan there, so you don't have to worry about being slower than the Archaludon when it comes in. That means Tommy is going to be forced to click Tailwind at some point on one of these two Pokemon. But Landorus protecting on the field, it still is threatened by future turns of Weather Balls right into its face in the rain.
And at this point, too, we get to see the speed coming out on Tommy's end. The Grassy Glide won't care about that, so it will do a significant chunk of damage into the Pelipper. The Pelipper, had it wanted to fire off something like a Hurricane into that Rillaboom, could have taken care of it. But great protect coming out with that Landorus. Definitely both players navigating this as best as they can. Some fantastic protect so far.
And Ryan doesn't have many defensive options right now, as we have the benefit of seeing the two Pokemon in the back being Chien-Pao and the Ogerpon Wellspring. Wellspring would not be able to take a Bleak Wind Storm well as a super effective hit, and Chien-Pao on the switch-in would break its Focus Sash. So Ryan's kind of just have to use the Landorus and Rillaboom and get as much damage as he can.
And at this point, too, the Tornadus feels so safe. You protect the Pelipper yet again, and now you can fire off the move. It won't be the Bleak Wind Storm, but instead, going to be firing off that Weather Ball into the Landorus. Super effective hit, getting rid of a huge potential threat over on Ryan's end. That was a Pokemon that with the Earth powers, with the Archaludon potentially in the back, could have been massive, and it's gone.
Landorus was one of your best answers into Archaludon on Tommy's side. The other option is this Chien-Pao because of Sacred Sword, ignoring defense boosts, so that if you can get Chien-Pao on the field against the Archaludon, doesn't matter how many stamina boosts it have, it will do maximum super effective damage there. And I actually think Chien-Pao's probably Ryan's best option at damage at this point. You have a Focus Sash to ensure you're not going to get knocked out from one hit. Stellar Terrestrialization as well is going to boost any type of damage you do from any of your attacks. So it might be Chien-Pao versus the world for Ryan to force a game 3.
And Pelipper, that will be the swap out on this turnaround that Archaludon, into play. So if it does take a hit over on this, potentially a Grassy Glide into that slot, it will get that defense boost. But here it is, the Terrestrialization in our game 2, the Stellar Terrestrialization. This is going to be dealing some big damage from the move, but only the first time. So you have to take advantage of it where you can. And with the potential of the Sucker Punch into the Tornadus that was readying for an attack, have to see if this will be enough to get rid of it. No, this Tornadus holding on quite handily, but will not survive that double up.
Yep, the double target finally works out for Ryan. He's a couple of times in this series went for 2 attacks into one slot, and it's failed into protects. But this time around, he does get the knockout. At least Pelipper is saved for later. You can bring it back in when the rain is down. Archaludon does hit the field without taking damage. Pelipper coming out for Tommy right now. Importantly for Ryan, Chien-Pao's Focus Sash is still intact. Yes, you can see on the screen there, you no longer have a additional damage from your Sucker Punches, but both the Icicle Crash and the Sacred Sword would deal boosted damage the first time that Ryan clicks them.
And at this point, too, it is the final turn of Tailwing that Tommy was able to set up on that second turn there. So protect on the Chien-Pao to make sure that you can be keeping your Focus Sash intact. Going to be fantastic. Protect coming out from the Pelipper, yet again, to make sure that the Grassy Glide potential is not going to be KOing it this turn around. As yes, again, Ryan constantly pinning that slot, making sure that Tommy doesn't get a free turn with that Pelipper. Electroshot, though, the Chien-Pao might be safe, but readying up, it will get to absorb that electricity, get this special attack boost, and to fire off an attack actually into the Qian Pao. So will be the special attack boost, but no damage.
Yeah, so Tommy ends up coming out on top on the turn anyway. Because of how Electro Shot works, you will activate the special attack boost first and then hit the attack. So it's the same as if Meteor Beam misses the attack, but you still get the special attack increase. Now that the rain is gone, if Tommy brought Sinistra's the 4th Pokemon, might be time to switch it in so that one, you Hospitality can heal your teammate up if it took any damage, but also be able to reset the rain later on for Pelipper.
It won't be Tommy switching anything out, but we do get to see a swap coming out from Ryan's end to be swapping that Rillaboom into the back because Grassy Glide, the grassy terrain has expired, and you want to make sure you can bring that back in later. As Terastallization coming out over on Tommy's end, again, that Archaludon into that Fairy Terastallization. Icicle Crash, it does connect this time around, and into the Pelipper. It was already low. Surefire way to make sure no attempt at getting the rain set up for Tommy.
Yeah, but that really hurts that you had to waste your Stellar Boost into the low health Pelipper instead of the neutral defense Archaludon at that point. It was smart because you're in a tough spot if you go for Body Press and he Terastallizes into a Fairy. You're going to do really, hardly any damage. But instead, now that the Fairy has been locked in, you know that Qian Pao has to click Icicle Crash since Sacred Sword would be resisted. There's always that chance at missing, and there is no Stellar Boost left on the Icicle Crash. So this Archaludon is really sitting pretty, especially since Sinistra is next to it, which can redirect those attacks away from the Qian Pao.
Really putting a lot of eggs into the Archaludon basket over on Tommy's end. Icicle Crash into the Sinistra. It's going to be bringing it so low. It will get some Citrus Berry recovery, but its big thing is whether it will get the flinch over on this turn. Ivy Cudgel, the follow-up. Actually, no, it will, okay. It's not going to KO, but will it
That was
flinch?
with the crit.
It's so little damage. Dragon Pulse will be able to pick off the Qian Pao. It only had 1 health to his name, and now both trainers will be down to their final 2 Pokemon.
And they are both physical attackers on Ryan's end with Rillaboom and Ogerpon. Sinistra with its Life Dew is going to heal itself up even more now that it resists the Ivy Cudgel and it resists Grassy Glide. That with 2 grass types on Ryan's side, there's no reason to Rage Batter, right? You cannot redirect attacks away, so you might as well just continue to Life Dew and heal both yourself and your teammate. This full health Archaludon is sitting really pretty because every time it gets hit from Grassy Glide or Ivy Cudgel, when there aren't critical hits, it's going to make it even more difficult to deal damage to it. And any damage you do can be mitigated from the Life Dew healing recovery.
At least with the Terastallization coming out onto that Archaludon, you will be able to start doing some more damage with the Rillaboom initially than you would have had there not been a Terastallization. So follow me on the Pokemon. Will make sure that Rillaboom staying safe for now, and that Woodhammer will deal a lot of damage before this Archaludon starts getting set up. That's the first stamina boost there. Make the most of it while you can. Dragon Balls into the Ogerpon, brings it down low, and you have to make sure that damage is stacking up where you can, because another Life Dew coming out from the Sinistra will heal them both up.
Yeah, you got to know your calcs on Ryan's end. This is now a +1 defense Archaludon. That last turn, Ryan redirected that attack away, and you thought maybe if since the Ivy Cudgel would have went off onto the low health Archaludon, it might have been enough to knock out. But at least by redirecting it, Rillaboom is still on the field.
This is the turn you have to go up for the double up, see if you can do just enough damage.
But now he's +2, so if Woodhammer doesn't crit, it's going to do less damage.
You needed to go for that critical hit, though, and it will be enough damage, just enough with that Woodhammer, that double up. The stamina is not going to be enough. And Archaludon goes down.
The grassy terrain boost helps it do so much more damage, and Woodhammer obviously significantly higher base power than those grassy glides. So by redirecting that last turn with the follow me on Ogerpon, that's what helped Ryan in this moment, keeping Rillaboom around. The Dragon Pulse would have knocked it out the prior turn. 2 Woodhammers and 2 Ivy Cudgels was enough to break through the stalwart defenses of the Archaludon, and it's just Sinistra left.
Yeah, and at this point, Sinistra only has the 1 attacking move, and Ryan will be able to just U-turn it down, or just hammer it until we can get it done and dealt with. And think about whereabouts we can be taking this in the next match. Matcha Gotcha is not going to be doing necessarily. Actually, that's more than I thought it would from this little teacup. Is this actually the possibility of this winning out this match?
Yeah, Sinister going to try to 2v1 right now. You have the low health Rillaboom. You at least know on Ryan's end that you will get 2 attacks first before the Sinister is able to move. It does have access to protect, so Tommy can try to protect or regain a little bit health from the field. But Ryan, that's a spread attack that into the Ogerpon, into Rillaboom. One more Machigotcha could do it.
Gotta see how much you can do with this.
Crit.
No crit, not very effective in the Wood Hammer. We already got to see how much it was, and no crit there. The little teacup, I could. At this point too, the Machigotcha, the double connect. That is going to be it to clean up this match. Tommy to take it in a 2-0.
Machigotcha takes the match for Tommy. What an incredible 2-0 over last year's second place finisher at the Vancouver Regional Championships. This is a player that everybody should get excited to watch throughout the rest of this weekend. What a show.
I disrespected the Sinisha. I disrespected the teacups that Evan and Scott had at the beginning of the day, but they knew the tea and we didn't. But what a great match coming out. Honestly, too, we got to see that weather showcase right to start things out, and think it was so well played, especially, too, since Ryan had to respect it. He had to be going for those grassy glides into the Pelipper and just could not deal with it in time.
And Machigotcha is neutral into Ogerpon, as it's a grass and water Pokemon, so you would have been weak if you Terastallized, but it just remains neutral. So it's not like it was doing no damage, it was doing solids amount for considering it was spread, and usually don't invest too much into your special attack in that spot. But yeah, this match was just really fun. The mind games of the first couple of turns that Tommy put Ryan through, where you have both of your Tailwind and Weather Ball users on the field at the same time, and the double protect went into that protect, so it just left Tommy really free to just get as much damage and knock out that Landorus, who was the biggest threat to the Archaludon in the back.
I just really love this iteration of weather that Tommy has on his team. The fact that we get to see all these manual weather setters that, it's ability based. And then there's also been throughout the format, the Tornadus that's had either the Rain Dance or the Sunny Day, normally the Rain Dance to be able to enable the Pokemon. But a different spin on this Tornadus to just be on a, hey, I can set up with this Tailwind, I can stop you with this Taunt, or I can just go all out on the offensive with these Bleak Wind Storms that deal a lot of damage. I think it was just super, super well done, and ultimately, too, really well positioned on the Archaludon to never have it be in too much danger. And when it was finally KO'd, well, there's still one more Pokemon to get through, and that's where the Machigotcha.
Yeah, the spoilers from the opening lounge segment with the teacups actually making the Sinistra perform well here in this round 4 matchup. And look at those Machigotchas into the Rillaboom. That first one, if you got an Ivy Cudgel crit in either of the spots, who knows how much damage it would have done. It still resisted, but 2 Machigotchas here is enough for Tommy to claim the match.
Hey, I mean, do the damage where you can. It definitely did more than I thought, Grassy Terrain coming in clutch, but you got to make sure that if you have a supportive Pokemon like that, that it can be cleaning up those final KOs when the time calls, after you've kind of diminished the option your opponent has.
That's right. Grassy Terrain giveth and taketh away, because it helped boost Woodhammer's damage, but then it also made the Machigotcha do more damage to your own Rillaboom and the Ogerpon on the other end. And that was a exhilarating first match to start our weekend here in Vancouver. 2 Canadians showing up strong in this game. That was really fun.
Worth the wait.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we had some fun beforehand, so it's not like we weren't just chilling. We weren't sitting there. We were patiently anticipating our first match, and I'd say it lived up to the hype.
You say patiently. I've been sitting here like, no, let's get underway, and it was definitely a great match to be kicking things off. Of course, taking a loss at this point in the competition, it is not going to be ending your tournament run whatsoever. Still the potential at that 7-2, 8-1. So over on Ryan's end, yes, maybe this isn't the result that you wanted. Still more than plenty of opportunities to be pushing on forward. And we did get to see a lot of great gameplay coming out from him. I mean, when you have solid foundations like that too, it can take you very far. I mean, this is last year's finalist. Like, of course he can do it.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely have the confidence in Ryan to continue on here after round 4 and perform well enough. Could be one of those things that Archaladon is one of those Pokemon that you might not have as much of practice against, or you might not be preparing to face it as often as some of the other more common archetypes in the field. But I do think it was funny as we were getting set up to start this match, and you called me crazy for trying to set up my +4 defense Archaladon with Whimsicott. But, you know, Tommy still got to +4 defense. He just didn't have the beat-up strat.
Well, yeah, but he let his opponent set up for him, which I think is just ultimately so much better, because then you have a slot that actually does something else on your team.
And the hospitality and the life,
There's a reason that Tommy is 4-0 here and you're not, all right? I don't want to hear it. What I do want to hear, though, is from Tommy, as Gabby is standing by with him for an interview.
Thank you so much, Sierra and Joe. I'm here with Tommy, who's currently undefeated, round 4 of Swiss in Vancouver. Tommy, how does it feel?
Great.
Oh, speaking to your mic.
Great. I thought I'd do well this tournament.
You thought you'd do well, and
Because I did well in the global challenges, so.
all right, that's some cred. How'd you do in the global challenge?
In the first one, I got 7th,
Okay, that's some cred.
but I forgot to link my Nintendo account, so I didn't get the points.
Oh, well, that's a good reminder for all of you at home. Make sure to link your Nintendo account before you compete in this upcoming global challenge. Did you run a similar team in that global challenge?
Yes, I've used the same team minus the 6th Pokemon. So I've used 5 of them for the first and second global challenge.
Okay, and is that the team you're running this weekend? Here in Vancouver, are you running the same 5 out of 6?
Yes.
All right, so then who's the mystery 6th Pokemon that you subbed in for this event?
Oh, Annihilate?
Really? Okay.
Yeah, well, in the first global challenge, I used Landis Therian, and I never brought it.
Okay.
And then I used the Zoomerl in the second global challenge, and then I never brought it.
Okay. And so have you brought Annihilate yet today?
Not today, but in practice I have compared to the other 2, so we'll see.
All right, so then you're pretty comfortable then with this Archaladon, Sinistcha, Pelipper, Tornadus.
Yes.
How did you arrive at that core?
Electroshock is a good move.
Okay. You're just telling us straight facts. I appreciate that.
Huh?
It was interesting to me because I noticed on your team sheet, you know, a lot of people will pick Pelipper or Tornadus. I don't think I've seen many teams that bring both. So what was your thinking when having both of them on the team?
Tornadus being able to attack turn 1 with the rain is really good. Like, sometimes I can threaten Tailwind, or I can threaten both of them attacking.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, that's pretty powerful. And I think we saw that in your game 2 approach against Ryan. But going back to game 1, there was a really interesting mind game about when you would terrastalize your Archaladon versus when Ryan would terrastalize the Landorus.
Yeah.
How did you approach that matchup?
Oh, kind of don't remember much, but
That's okay.
I know I got it right, so that was good.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I believe you both terrastalized the same turn, but then he went for Earth Power.
Earth Power, and so,
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, Archaladon's such a powerful Pokemon too. Like it really did feel like your team is built to optimize it, especially with that Sinistcha. And that's a Pokemon we haven't really seen much of Regulation F.
yeah.
So why did you decide to add that to your team?
Well, as a support mon, I can either pick Clefairy, Floral, or I don't remember, the
Floral Healing?
Floral Healing, or
Yeah.
Sinestro. And the main reason I think I went with Sinestro is it's good into Urshifu water. And you see the last game was good into Riluvi and Water Pond too.
Yeah, and not only that, Sinistcha gave you an out in game 2 where Matcha Gotcha was able to heal up enough and do enough damage for the win. That was really exciting to watch. Were you nervous?
Yeah, I was nervous when my Archaladon died because I thought it would survive the double up with +1 defense, +2 defense. But it worked out.
All right. Well, Tommy, I gotta ask, you know, you said you're feeling good about this weekend, currently undefeated after round 4. Do you think you're gonna go all the way?
I hope so.
Yeah. Is there anybody at home you'd like to thank for helping you train, helping you prep?
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Ryan. And Shai, let's hang out.
pretty straightforward. I like that. Well, I'm going to let you go so you can get some rest before we start round number 5.
All right.
Casters, why don't we throw back to you?